Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for latest updates. Before the big fights, before the arguments, before TV cameras started filming, Boyd Coddington was already famous. In the 1980s and 90s, when most car shops were just putting on store-bought parts and painting flames, Boyd was thinking of totally new ways to make custom cars. His cars were sleek, simple, and shaped like rolling art. His cars didn't just win prizes. They changed how everyone thought about hot rod cars. Coddington's cars were like nothing else on the road. He made chassis by hand, special wheels that he basically invented, hit all the wires, and used super shiny deep paint. He didn't just fix old cars, he completely redesigned them. With amazing builders like Chip Faust working for him and customers who were rock stars and rich business owners. His shop in Southern California became the center of custom car culture. Magazines loved writing about him. Awards kept coming in. People flew in from all over the world to get a car built by Boyd. He wasn't just someone who built cars. He was like a brand name. His wheel business took off big time. He started a business making special metal parts, and then Hollywood movie people came to ask for his help. Then came a TV show called American Hot Rod, which promised to show fans what it was really like inside Boyd's shop, all the crazy stuff, the amazing work, and the pressure behind Boyd's famous car builds. Millions of people watched it on TV. The shop became even more famous. Boyd smiled for the cameras and shook hands with everyone at car shows. But what people watching didn't see, what even some of his biggest fans didn't know, was that behind all the shiny chrome and perfect paint jobs, problems were already starting. The deadlines were really hard to meet, there wasn't enough money, and the people closest to Boyd were starting to leave. The business looked like it couldn't be stopped, but a big storm was coming, and nobody saw just how bad it was going to get. Boyd Coddington's business looked like nothing could hurt it. He had awards, TV deals, and a wheel business that was doing great. But behind the scenes, the cracks had already started to show up. His need for everything to be perfect, which used to be his best quality, was now like a pressure cooker that burned everything it touched. Every car build had to be perfect. Deadlines weren't just suggestions. They were do it or die trying. The problem was the projects were getting harder and harder. The TV producers wanted more drama, and there wasn't much money left to make. Shops like Boyd's didn't run on endless cash. They ran on faith, good reputation, and always moving forward. And when any of those things slipped, the whole machine started to wobble. Parts didn't arrive on time, paychecks were late, and staff meetings got tense. Some team members whispered their worries, but very few dared to speak up. Boyd was still the boss, and when he was around, most people kept their mouths shut. But when the cameras weren't rolling, everyone felt bad. People were tired of having to redo work that was rushed. They were tired of drama in the shop and tired of watching burnout replace the pride they used to feel. The companies that sold parts to Boyd noticed too. Boyd had a reputation for being tough to work with, and some suppliers quietly stopped doing business with him. Others made their prices higher, expecting that Boyd might not pay them on time. And the fans watching TV only saw the fancy stuff, never knowing how close everything was to falling apart. Still, Boyd smiled for the camera. He jumped right into the chaos. He didn't just want to win. He had to win. But instead of fixing the problems, he made them worse. Bigger car builds, shorter time limits, more pressure on everyone. And right in the middle of all this mess, he made a choice that would hurt the business forever. He gave control of the money to someone from his past. Her name was Diane Coddington, Boyd's ex-wife, his former partner, and the person he trusted to handle the money side of the shop, even after their marriage was over. On paper, it might have seemed like a good idea. She had been with the business since the early days and knew the numbers. But the people who worked in the shop saw it differently. Diane wasn't just keeping track of money. She was making really important decisions. Which companies got paid? Which projects moved forward? What got done first? And slowly those choices began to create problems. Tax papers weren't filed on time, late fees piled up, and budgets went way over what they should be. Some workers said it wasn't bad management, it was that she didn't care. Diane wasn't down in the shop with the crew working on cars. She was up in the office, disconnected from all the chaos happening below. People started whispering, "Why is Boyd letting her run everything?" But very few said it out loud. Boyd didn't like criticism, especially when it was about Diane. Maybe it was loyalty. Maybe it was comfort. Maybe it was just habit. But whatever the reason, Boyd supported her decisions, even as the numbers started looking worse and worse. The car builders started buying their own parts just to keep jobs moving along. Customers waited months for cars that should have taken weeks to finish. Reports about problems were ignored. The stress went down to everyone and tensions got high. Diane being there became like a dividing line in the shop. There were those who still trusted the system and those quietly planning to quit. And through it all, Boyd stayed as the face of the company. Diane stayed in control of the money. And the shop kept running toward disaster with no brakes and no one willing to hit the stop button until one builder finally said what everyone else was too scared to say. "I'm leaving." The crew that made Boyd shop work weren't just employees. They were skilled workers, welders, painters, people who built things, problem solvers. They worked 16-hour days, skipped holidays, and really cared about these car builds. But loyalty only lasts so long when no one listens to you. And by the early 2000s, people were yelling for Boyd to hear them. Projects were stuck and couldn't move forward. Budgets made no sense. Car builders were being asked to work faster with less money and fewer supplies, and then blamed when something went wrong. Many of them had been with Boyd for years. They had built his dream with him, but now they were burning out. And when they brought up their concerns, they were met with silence, or worse, they got blamed. "You're not fast enough. You don't care enough. You don't understand the vision." But they did understand it. That was the problem. They could see it all falling apart. And one by one, some of Boyd's most trusted workers left, not because they were angry, but because their hearts were broken. They warned him. They begged him to fix the culture, slow down, pay people what they were worth, put money back into the team. But Boyd, he was still chasing the next big car build. A few people stayed, too loyal, too proud, but even they began questioning if the business was worth being so exhausted. Companies stopped answering phone calls. Rumors of legal problems started coming up. Boyd wouldn't or couldn't admit the ship was sinking. And right as the tension hit the worst point, the biggest name in the shop stood up and walked out the door. Chip Faust was more than just a designer in Boyd's shop. He was a rising star. Quiet, careful, endlessly creative. His drawings were pure gold. His vision was untouchable. For years, Chip helped define what a Coddington car looked like, taking Boyd's builds to new heights. But the spotlight only had room for one name, and it wasn't his. The tension had been building for a while. Chip was passionate about design. Boyd was obsessed with control. Creative disagreements turned into fights about their different ideas. Chip wanted thoughtful innovation. Boyd wanted fast, loud, camera-ready results. And in the pressure cooker of the American Hot Rod TV show, something had to give way. The final straw came during a car build that should have been a showstopper. Chip put his heart and soul into the design. Every line, every curve, every detail was his creation. But when the cameras rolled and the credits showed up on TV, it was Boyd's name in the headlines. Boyd on stage, Boyd in the spotlight again. Chip left quietly, but the results were huge. Half the shop supported him. Fans online started whispering, "Why did Boyd let his best talent walk away?" Some said it was ego, some said it was fear. Others said it was always going to end this way. Not long after, Chip started Faust Design, and just like that, the student became the competitor. He won awards, got famous clients, and made himself a legend in his own right. But for Boyd, losing Faust wasn't just about losing talent. It marked the beginning of everything falling apart. The car builds got bolder, the TV show got louder, but the money situation was crumbling. Years of not filing tax papers, fighting with suppliers, and owing back taxes finally caught up with Boyd. And when the IRS came knocking on his door, there was nowhere left to hide. Internal whispers turned into full panic. There were rumors of hundreds of thousands of dollars owed. Suppliers were threatening to sue. Former employees said they never got their final paychecks. Some cars were stuck in legal trouble, half-built with no money left to finish them. The shiny business Boyd had built was drowning in debt. And through it all, the American Hot Rod TV show kept filming. The stress on the set was easy to see. Deadlines became impossible to meet. Boyd started yelling at people more. Mistakes got louder, and the cracks that had been quietly forming for years finally split wide open. The Coddington wheel business, once a money-making powerhouse, took a big hit. Boyd's name, once golden in the industry, now made people raise their eyebrows. Long-time customers pulled their projects away. Industry insiders distanced themselves from him. What had once been the center of custom car culture now looked like a warning story. Boyd tried to hold it all together. In public, he still smiled, still shook hands at car shows. But behind closed doors, it was complete chaos. Financial audits, backroom deals, and desperate efforts to keep the lights on. But even with the walls caving in around him, the cameras were still rolling and capturing every brutal second of it. When the American Hot Rod TV show first aired, fans expected to be inspired. What they got was intensity. The show didn't make anything look better than it was. It leaned into the chaos, missed deadlines, screaming matches, builders storming out of the shop. What began as a showcase of custom car brilliance quickly became a pressure cooker reality series, and viewers couldn't look away from it. Each episode was like a war. Metal workers bumped heads with each other. Boyd barked orders at everyone. People quit in the middle of building a car, sometimes in the middle of filming a scene. The stress wasn't just for the TV show. It was real life. Months of 16-hour work shifts, impossible expectations, one mistake, and you were the next person on the chopping block. TV audiences were hooked on watching it. But inside the shop, morale was falling apart. Car builders hated the cameras being there. Deadlines became deadly serious in Boyd. He became like a cartoon character, shouting, dismissive, increasingly cut off from the crew that once saw him as a god. TV producers loved the drama. Fans debated Boyd's leadership in online discussion groups. Some saw him as a misunderstood genius. Others saw a mean dictator. But everyone could agree the business wasn't what it used to be. The problem? All that reality TV tension was based on actual problems. There wasn't a script. The stress was real. And the business, already on financial life support, was crumbling faster with every episode that aired on TV. And soon, even the most loyal crew members would hit their breaking point. By the end, it wasn't just employees quitting. It was like pillars holding up a building were collapsing. The crew that had carried Boyd through his greatest car builds began walking out one by one, not because they were angry, but because they were disappointed. The dream they had built together was burning down, and no one was listening to the alarm bells. Companies refused to deliver parts until bills were paid. Customers started backing out of contracts. Even some longtime fans stopped showing up at car shows. But inside the shop, Boyd kept pushing forward like it was business as usual, even as the floor cracked beneath his feet. Rumors swirled about cars being taken away mid-build, about suppliers threatening lawsuits, about secret meetings behind closed doors. And through it all, Boyd kept smiling for the camera. The show must go on, right? But when the cameras weren't rolling, people were leaving and taking what remained of the shop's heart with them. A few key staff members tried to step in to reason with Boyd to pull him back to reality, but they were either ignored or shown the door. One builder described it best. He was still building cars, but he wasn't building trust anymore. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet and slow, 100 small cuts instead of one fatal blow. The very people who made the dream possible now watched from a distance, heartbroken as it all fell apart. And yet no one, not even the people who criticized him, could have predicted how suddenly it would all end. In February 2008, Boyd Coddington passed away from complications following surgery. The custom car world was stunned. The legend was gone. And just like that, the chaos stopped. The TV show was canceled. The shop fell silent. And the empire Boyd had spent decades building came to a screeching halt. But what came after wasn't glory. It was ashes. Without Boyd at the helm, the company filed for bankruptcy. Lawsuits came up. Debts were called in. Unfinished car builds sat in the corners of dark garages. They were monuments to a dream that had run out of road. Some former employees tried to keep the spirit alive, finishing customer cars, making good on promises Boyd couldn't keep. Others quietly moved on, opening their own shops, carrying both the knowledge Boyd gave them and the scars he left behind. His wheel company changed hands, his brand faded, and the name that once ruled the custom car world became a cautionary tale, spoken with respect, yes, but also with regret. The fans were divided. Some remembered the visionary, others couldn't forget the meltdowns, but no one could deny his impact. Boyd was gone, but the questions he left behind still echoed in every empty bay of that legendary shop. Today, the echoes of Boyd Coddington live on, not in the empire he left behind, but in the people who walked away from it. Chip Faust rose from that split to become a legend in his own right. His TV show Overhaulin' became a global hit, and he built a brand based on grace, craftsmanship, and humility. Values forged in the fire of Boyd's chaos. Other builders from Boyd's shop started their own businesses, training new generations of metal workers, honoring what they learned while refusing to repeat the same mistakes. Even former fans have come full circle, recognizing that while Boyd fell hard, he also lifted custom car culture to heights it had never seen before. His influence cannot be denied. Special metal wheels, he helped pioneer them. The smooth, clean, minimalist hot rod look, that's Boyd's style. The idea that a car shop could become a TV franchise, also Boyd's idea. He didn't just build hot rods. He built the era of hot rods. But his fall taught the industry something too. That ego unchecked can destroy even the greatest vision. That leadership isn't about shouting louder. It's about listening to people. And that success without sustainability will always burn out. In the end, Boyd Coddington gave the world brilliance and a warning. And maybe, just maybe, that's the legacy that lasts longer than chrome and shiny metal.